Hi friends, in my last video on how to become an algorithmic trader, I had mentioned certain basic tools which you can use for placing certain trades. So what we'll do here, what we'll learn in this video is, we'll be using Chartink. Chartink is a tool for creating certain scans, certain screeners, basis which you can place your trades. Those outputs which are generated as a report in Chartink, we will send that report into Google Sheets. And how will you do that? We'll be using a tool called IFTTT. We'll be using Webhook integration to send the data from Charting to Google Sheets. And then we will see in the next video how we'll make our Python file read this data from Google Sheets. So let's begin. First, we'll go to Charting. Hoping that you have already created an account here. If you haven't, please create an account once. So I'm already logged into. I'm not logged in currently. Let me log in. So once I have logged in, let's look for some screeners, or you can also create one. Let's not talk about creating a scan here. That will be for some other day. Let's look for some other screeners which are already created. So I have created a scanner for my other account, which is 52 week Diwan. So if you look at this particular scan, in this scan, what we are doing, we are seeing that in the Nifty 100 segment, the stocks which are in the Nifty 100 segment, in the last 52 weeks, if in the last 5 days it has breached those 240 days or 52 weeks level, that means if there is a breakout above the 52 and it has reached a new 52-week high in the last 5 days, if there is any stock, the results will be generated below. So there are 9 stocks in which have done so in the last 5 days. So what we will do here, we want to create an alert. So for creating an alert for this scan, so that these outputs which is generated here, if we want that this particular alert I should be sent directly to my Google Sheets in an automated way, and I don't have to log into Charting every time to see what the results have been generated. And I want this to be done at a particular time. So this would be uh, a day on 3:15 p.m. So I want to take a trade at 3:15 p.m. So let me just define the time here. So suppose at 3:14 p.m. whatever has happened, it should be sent so that by 3:15 p.m. I am able to place the trades. Now here, this is the rest. Don't change anything, and we have to put in a Webhook URL. Now for Webhook URL, we will be using IFTTT for creating a Webhook URL. Now let's move to Webhook URL creation. So for that, we will need IFTTT, and this is, let's log in here. Assuming that you have not created an account here, so let's create an account. And we are good to go. Now, okay, initially you will have to select some options, say, so I'll select Dropbox and Google Calendar. That's it. Let's continue. I don't want the pro version for now, and let me click on get started. Okay, what we are doing here, we'll click on create. We'll create an applet here. This, for the free version in IFTTT, you can create up to 5 applets. So what we're trying to do here, we'll first create a webhook. This is just type in webhook, the first output which is there. We want to receive a web request. So Charting wants to send some data and we want to receive it in the Google Sheets. So we need a URL which we'll be creating here. So let's create a webhook URL and let's give it a name, say TrendBends 1. Now if condition has been created, now let's look at what do we want to do once the Charting sends the data to this URL. We'll go to that URL, just wait for a while. So we want that this data should be sent to Google Sheets. So let's select Google Sheet, and it will add whatever output has been generated. It should add it in a new row to the spreadsheet. So we'll click here and we'll click on connect. So this will require certain permissions. You'll have to allow those permissions and click on create action. Click on continue, receive notification when this applet runs, and click on finish. Now your first applet has been created. Now let's click on this webhook button which is there, and we will have to go to documentation. So let's see what kind of output is generated. Let me parallelly open my Google Drive as well so that you can see what is happening there. So as you can see, currently in my Google Drive, there's nothing. It's completely empty. Now what I'm going to do, I'll put in the event name here. So what was the event name? Let's confirm that name again. So it is TrendBends 1. So it should be exactly as per the uppercase and lowercase. Whatever you have mentioned, it should be exactly ditto. So let's write in there TrendBends 1 and say this is the value test 1, test 2, and test 3. This particular link is your webhook URL which you will have to paste in Chartink. Before doing that, let us test it. So it says event has been triggered. Let's go to my Google Drive. You see that a file has been created. Let's open this. And as you can see, from the event which we had created, yeah. So the event trigger happened at 4:35 p.m. on 15th August, and this is the event trigger ID which we had created, and these are the values which are the output. Now let's test it once again and see what happens. Event has been triggered and the output is here. Let's do it once more. Event has been triggered and the output is here. Can you see? It's just less than 1 second when the entire transmission is happening. So what we'll do, we will copy this webhook URL and we'll paste it here. And when we'll click on save alert, this would be saved. Now, whatever output is generated here in Charting, it would be sent to your Google Sheets in real time. That's it, folks. In the next video, I'll talk about how the output which has been generated in the Google Sheets, how do we read that in our Python file. Adios, gracias, hasta luego.